Welcome to this week's episode of Reclaim Your Peace with Mother Earth. I'm so thankful that you're here today. And this is my first live episode since the US presidential elections about a week ago. And there's a lot to say. There's been a lot to process. Today is also my birthday, my 52nd birthday. So I always like to honor my mom on my birthday. Other people can honor me and celebrate me, but I love to honor my mom's memory and everything that she went through to bring me into this world. So I just wanted to share that as another perspective of looking at your birthday and how we can choose to view it as a time to deepen our connection with our biological moms and maybe our non-biological moms as well. I have been going through a whole lot of emotions, as I'm sure so many of you have, and there's a real sense of things being destabilized in many ways. Now I know that many people, in fact, the majority of Americans would find disagreement with me, but the fact is that, the decision that was made by our country in the direction that we're moving is not one that sits well with me. If it sits well with you, maybe this isn't the podcast for you. But if you have been feeling it over the past week, this is for you. So I really wanted to come back to a core, not just teaching, but a core, practice, a core self-care, something that is absolutely vital to your self-care, and that is coming back to the present moment. Always coming back to your presence. There is incredible power in being present, and so much healing is available to you there. And that is just one of the many reasons why I teach us to reclaim our peace through working with Mother Earth, because she is always offering you the opportunity to connect with your presence. And that whole phrase, connect with your presence, be more present, I think there's a lot of misunderstanding around it. It's not about putting your head in the sand. It's not about ignoring everything that's going on in the world, in the macrocosm, in the collective. Coming back to the power of your presence is an affirmation that we are all connected. We are all part of this, huge web of interconnection that is the way the nature is meant to be, and the way nature operates most effectively and in a most healthy way when it is, has that dynamic balance. So being able to come back to your presence, your safety, your stability, your foundation, your knowing, that is all accessible in the present moment. When we, are not present and our minds spin off into the future, creating doomsday scenarios and generating so much pain and suffering in our world based on projection and anxiety and fear and, all of these things. Or if we're looking backwards and we're really focusing on the grief and the regret and the, whys and, really delving into how things came to be, we lose track of the power of always coming back to our presence. And when we avoid being in the present moment, well, I should say right now, it may feel very easy to, you know, deny yourself the opportunity to be in the present moment because the emotions that you're feeling are heavy, uncomfortable. There's so much anger and fear and, grief. There is a deep, deep grief in a lot of people in our country right now. And we need to process that. We need to have our eyes open to that. The grief that is within ourselves, first of all, the emotions that you are feeling. All emotions are valid. All of your feelings are valid. So that is so important, first of all, is to recognize that everything that you're feeling right now is valid. Do not dismiss it. Do not push it away. The old saying, what we resist persists, is so true. It is so true. What you resist will persist. It's not just a clever little rhyming phrase. It is so true. We need to allow ourselves to process the emotions that we're feeling right now, or it will generate dis-ease and disease and, a lot of health problems, mental health, emotional health, physical health, and spiritual health. So first of all, I just want you to extend yourself that grace to allow yourself to feel what you're feeling and recognize that it is all valid. It is all valid. I don't know if you've ever seen those, there's the 5 stages of grief and now I'm not even going to be able to remember every single stage, but I mean, my point is that there's this, concept that there's several stages of grief that we go through and that it's a linear process, which is never the way that it was intended to be by those who developed the stages. It's actually it's all over the place. You're like always bouncing back and forth between all of the different things of, anger and bargaining and acceptance and, fear and, all of these things. We bounce all over the place. That is just human nature in terms of how we feel. So no feeling is more valid than another. So that is something that I really wanted to share with you today. And I want to especially highlight any feelings of being unsafe, because there are a lot of people that feel unsafe right now for a whole variety of reasons, for some very legitimate and valid reasons. And if you are one of those people, I really, with so much love, want you to embrace a practice of presence, of reminding yourself that you are safe in the moment that you are in. Find all sorts of evidence around you that you are safe, that you are safe, that you have access to water, that you have access to food, that you have access to a safe place to live, that you have loving people around you. If you do not have loving people around you, I encourage you to reach out to those who you know will embrace you and provide you a safe place. And if you lack that, then I do encourage you to reach out for help, because you deserve to have that safety. You deserve to feel safe. And it is that sense of instability and lack of safety that can rattle our very foundation, which I think is what so many people are feeling right now, is that our foundations have been fractured in some way. And especially with, the fact that the popular vote was in favor of Donald Trump. I think that so many of us are looking around us and all of a sudden seeing the world in a very different light and wondering how safe we really are. This is legitimate as well. Very legitimate. This is why it is so important to tend to our presence and to put away our phones, stop the doom scrolling, maybe stop even watching the news for a while. It's okay. You are allowed to stop watching the news. This is a time when we need to tend to ourselves. We really need to tend to ourselves and our safety, our personal foundations, our values. We need to come back to what our deepest values are and to remind ourselves that we have the right to have these values and beliefs. We are sovereign beings. We have free will. We have the right to believe what we believe. And I've engaged in some conversations with people recently that are happy with how the election turned out. And we were able to have some very civil conversations, which I appreciated. And yet, when I came out of those conversations, it was there were many things that I came out with, but one of the big realizations that I had was that, those of us who are drawn to a deeper connection with the earth, who are, really understanding what's at stake in our environment, especially with climate change. And, beyond, it goes, of course, beyond environmental issues to social issues, issues of justice. I think it feels like there is a chasm that has been created where some of us are very much committed to the future. And I don't mean 2 years, 4 years, 10 years even. I mean generational future. Looking forward multiple generations. Those of us who are just wired that way and who are guided to act in ways that benefit future generations, we're feeling like that has been dismissed as a core value. And that is a difficult realization. That's a difficult thought to have, right? It may not be true. It may not be true. But I do know that the conversations that I've had recently, it's just been very clear to me that so many people in the world, in our country, are very focused on the short term. And, that is because of the situation that we are in as a country, that there is people are struggling in the here and now. And so they're looking for those short-term solutions. They're looking for the short-term, improvements in their life. Then there's those of us who understand the need to balance the short-term decisions and how we operate as a society with long-term, with planning for the far-off future, with planning with the vision that we want a healthy environment for our children and our grandchildren. And I think that it just feels like there's been a chasm that has been created. That is a thought that I am having, that I am kind of struggling with myself, and you may be as well. And so the conversations that I've been having, I've been really just realizing that some of us are light keepers. We are the holders of the light, and we are focused on shining a light forward, far forward, so that we can move towards that. And that's not an easy role to hold, especially in this day and age. I don't want you to lose sight of that. If that is something that speaks to you, that is dear to you, if you feel that you are guided to speak and act and represent future generations, you are a light keeper. And we have existed for throughout history, and we have often not been in the majority. I think that if we were in the majority, our world would look a lot different, right? So one of the things that I think nature, being in nature, can really help us with right now is understanding that the light keepers are the ones that are looking towards the future, and that nature allows us to continue looking towards the future and understanding that there is faith. There is faith. And when we look to nature for guidance, right now, it's the middle of November in the upper Midwest, and all of the trees and the shrubs, a lot of them have lost their leaves, and yet they have buds on them. They have buds on them right now. People think that buds develop, a lot of people think that buds develop in the spring. They are there right now. They are there right now. So nature is always looking forward, planning for the future, charting a course that will allow for balance, that will allow for a continuation, that will allow for, a continued growth and evolution. And that is really the role of the light keepers in our world today. We have to remember to care for ourselves, because it is so easy for light keepers to burn ourselves out. It's so easy. So while I know that so many of us are hurting on the inside and are tempted to maybe jump into doing things on the, in the external world to fight and to advocate and to, drawn to activism, all wonderful things that we should do, and being vigilant. However, we have to start with our inner world. We have to start with that inner world of honoring the feelings that we are having, honoring our emotions, honoring our need to care for ourselves, and tap into greater wells of compassion for ourselves. And nature really helps us do this, to tap into that compassion, that love for yourself, because we want to create a world that is guided from a loving, compassionate place, right? That's where we are all feeling drawn to go. That's the kind of world that we want to see and that we want to create for ourselves, for our children, our grandchildren, our 7 generations into the future. So the number one thing is not to go, projecting our energy into that outer world, but into ourselves, caring for yourself, allowing yourself to feel, allowing yourself to tap into that deep self-compassion so that you can bring all of your parts back together, all of these parts of you that might feel really separate right now. Maybe, all of the different emotions that we're experiencing, understanding that those are all parts of us, and that we as spiritual beings having a human existence, it is within our power to embrace all of those parts of us, to bring them into the light that we hold within ourselves, and to achieve a sense of wholeness in ourselves first, so that we can shine a light, we can be a model, we can continue to be kind, we can continue to be generous, we can continue to be grateful. And I think that is another big thing, is gratitude. It's powerful. Gratitude is so powerful. if we can each find a way to increase the amount of gratitude that we experience on a day by day, that will promote so much healing. And gratitude lives in the present, right? We have to be present to experience healing gratitude. And again, connecting with the earth is such a powerful place to experience gratitude, because even when you feel like, everything around you is chaos and falling apart, we can still look to a beautiful tree that is, in our yard, that we really feel is a witness to us, is a guardian to you. We can extend our love and gratitude to that tree. We can extend our gratitude to the sun coming up every day. We can extend and really not just extend, but, experience that gratitude in our hearts through nature. If you're feeling that it's really hard to tap into a sense of gratitude right now, focus on sending your gratitude to nature and experiencing that. And you will reawaken, you will, reactivate your ability to experience gratitude. And, I think that in closing, I just wanted to say that when we talk about, one of the pushbacks that I received recently from somebody that I was speaking with was that having a future orientation and really placing a lot of value in making decisions that benefit the future, generational future, the world that we are creating on a generational level. People will say, well, that is a very privileged perspective to take. I've had that said to me recently, and I would be interested in what you might have to say about that, and about anything. I'm interested in what you have to say. I think that at first, this person's comment that, being future focused and having, the issue of our climate and our environment being one of the very top values that I choose to, live in my life, and the way that I choose to cast my votes, that being future focused is a privilege. We need to take that belief apart, right? It is truly the only way to be responsible human beings, is to be continually looking to the future, the far off future. We need to be doing that, because the short-term thinking, the short-term decision making, prioritizing things on a short-term basis is how we've ended up where we are right now. And one of my favorite quotes that I have heard recently is from Chief Oren Lyons, who is faith keeper of the Turtle Clan of the Onondaga Nation. He is wonderful. He is in his mid-90s. If you have a chance to check out any of his YouTube videos or writings, I highly recommend it. Chief Oren Lyons, Lyons. And he speaks to many of these things, especially gratitude. But one of the things that he said is that right now, humanity it's like we're a bunch of fleas on a dog's back, and the dog is getting ready to shake. And there are many of us who can see that that's coming, right? We can see that that's coming. And faith keepers like Chief Lyons, he sees it coming as well, as I'm sure members of his community do, his nation. And So I want you to know that if you are a person who is looking to the future, multiple generations into the future, if you are a light keeper, you are not alone. You are not alone. Do not question the importance, the vital importance of your perspective on the world. We need you. We need you more than ever, and we need you to take care of yourself, okay? We need you to extend yourself compassion. We need you to feel what you're feeling, to recognize that your feelings are legitimate. And we need you to even go deeper in your sacred relationship with Mother Earth, because we are voices for her. She does have a voice. Not many people are listening or can hear it or choose to hear it or even want to hear it. So the fact that you are here, that you were guided to my podcast about reclaiming your peace with Mother Earth, tells me that you are a light keeper, that you are somebody that can hold the future in your heart, and that you are shining a light for the rest of the world. So you are so important. Take care of you, nurture your presence, spend time outside, extend gratitude, and experience the beauty and love of that gratitude, especially when you are finding gratitude with Mother Earth, because this is where we can create so much healing, not only on an individual level, at a family level, at a neighborhood and community level, but truly at the level of humanity. And that is what we need now. So thank you for your presence today. Thank you for the time that you spend here. I appreciate you. I am grateful for you. And if this is something of interest to you, what I'm speaking about, if you would like to have, if you're struggling right now with everything that has happened in the past week in our country, in the United States, then I welcome you to check out 2 resources. First of all, I offer free breakthrough sessions so that you can have an opportunity to learn about eco-intuitive life coaching and how it can directly benefit your life. I also offer a free guide all about speaking with nature. Yes, you can speak with nature. It is a two-way street, all right? And now is a beautiful time to reclaim your peace by reclaiming your sacred connection with Mother Earth. You can request that free guide down below. You can also learn more information about the free breakthrough session by going to ournaturalwisdom.com/breakthrough. And I, once again, am so grateful that you joined me today. I wish you a peaceful week ahead with presence, with all of the wonders and joys of connecting with Mother Earth. I will see you again next week for another episode. Have a good week, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.